Alright, here we go. I will be reading through Enchantment Rework by, actually, it's called a Minecraft Enchantment Overhaul by Aurora Spirit. And we are going to read through this because it's very cool and I helped work on it. Alright, I recently watched a YouTube video titled Enchanting Minecraft's Worst System by Fishstick on a Stick, and it got me thinking about just how much enchantments suck. I don't agree with every point made in the video, but it's a good one nonetheless. Warning, it's got quite a few swears if that's an issue for you. The enchantment system in Minecraft has problems at almost every level, and they all build off each other to create a terrible grindfest that ignores the actual gameplay of Minecraft. Let's mine our way in and see if we can figure out how to fix it. The problems. Before we can solve the problem, we have to figure out what the problem actually is. First, let's look at what the enchanting process is like in vanilla. In order to start enchanting, you need either an enchanting table, 2 diamonds and 4 obsidian, or an anvil, 31 iron, or both. From there, you need levels in order to enchant. Levels are a resource obtained from nearly every action in the game, including killing monsters, mining ore, smelting ores, completing achievements, and more. These levels are consumed in order to apply enchantments to items. In order to get the maximum enchantments on an item, it will take roughly 35 levels. Alright, so what's the issue? Well, pretty much all of the issues arise from levels. There are some other ones. I'll list them all now. When you die, regardless of how many levels you had, the amount of levels you dropped is capped at 7. This makes death significantly more punishing than I think it was intended to be. In order to start with an enchanting table, you have to reach level 30, which sucks when dying only gets 7 levels back. Enchantments from enchantment tables are entirely random, and if you don't get the one you want, you'll have to re-roll them by enchanting a junk item and disenchanting it, which consumes levels. The most optimal, consistent, and honestly the only viable way to gain a large amount of levels is to make a mob grinder and sit there for hours, repairing or combining items repairing or combining or renaming items in an anvil costs exponentially more experience, requires unreasonable amounts of technical understanding to do optimally, considering it's something most players will interact with in long-term survival playthrough. If you fail at this optimal combination pattern, maxing out your item becomes entirely impossible because anvils have a hard cap on how much XP you'll be able to spend, causing all your hard work and likely around 60 levels to be wasted. Combining enchanted items consumes enough XP to drop you out of the level 30 threshold, which means back to grinding if you want to start enchanting again. Levels take more XP to gain as your level counter gets higher, making it impossible to significantly stockpile them in order to bypass the previous problem. Loot enchantments are extremely difficult to obtain, especially in multiplayer. Fishing is not a viable way to get particular enchantments unless there is no other options, such as skyblock, provided mob spawns are disabled. Villagers bypass many issues here by providing any non-exclusive enchanted book in the game, including treasure enchantments like mending, for only a few emeralds, and with an anvil combination advantage that you wouldn't get from enchanting a book yourself. Villagers, as a mob with random pathfinding, are really annoying to deal with. Because of the exponentially scaling combination costs, any enchanted book below max level is useless because you would have to waste your limited combinations to combine it up to a max level. Due to the exponentially scaling repair cost of tools, mending is practically mandatory, and the only reasonable way to obtain it is from villagers, considering chest loot isn't consistent enough to get you a max set of gear. Some enchantments are useless to the point of being detrimental, Bane of Arthropods, or straight up bugged or broken, which is the entire protection cycle, which I'll go more into depth in later. Simply renaming an item scales the exponential cost of combination. Since applying enchantments is so expensive, it isn't worth it to use an enchanted item until it's maxed, lest you lose it due to death or breaking because it wasn't powered up enough. If you accidentally have a detrimental enchantment applied to your item, you have to remove every enchantment from it in order to get rid of the bad one. Some enchantments essentially upgrade a tool to the next material tier. For example, Sharpness 1 essentially upgrades an iron sword's damage to be equal to a diamond sword, and 15 levels worth of protection across an iron armor set effectively makes it equivalent to diamond armor. Netherite is easier to enchant than diamond, which incentivizes the player to wait to use their diamond stuff until it's fully maxed netherite. Golden tools are easy to enchant, but they're so bad they aren't even worth a single level. Connected issues. An important thing to note here is how durability interacts with this whole system. Iron tools have 250 durability each. Diamond tools have 1,561 durability each. Every armor piece is different. The durability capabilities are different for every piece. Let's compare the chest plates. Iron chest plate has 240 durability. Diamond chest plate has 528 durability. Mathematically inclined readers may have already noticed that the durability proportions between iron and diamond are significantly lower for armor than for tools. As far as I can tell, this is in order to balance for protection, which actually reduces the durability usage of armor in addition to reducing the amount of damage you take. Protection and its alternatives in general are really weird and rather broken. Protection provides plus 4% damage reduction per level across your armor pieces, maxing out at 4% times 4 levels times 4 pieces, or at 64% total damage reduction. And durability usage reduction, making you take less than half as much damage than you would without it. The alternative protections each provide 80% damage reduction for their specific damage category. However, the damage reduction is hard capped at 80%, meaning anything more than 10 levels across your armor becomes entirely useless. It's occasionally useful to replace one armor piece with blast protection in situations where you'll be getting hurt by large amounts of explosions, crystal PvP. But other than that, these enchantments provide negligible bonuses or protection in exchange for making you extremely vulnerable to other damage types. There's a lot of problems. What's the solution? You can go through the entire list of issues above and fix them one by one, but if you read through them all, you may have noticed that they cover every aspect of enchanting. Fixing them all would give us an enchanting system of Theseus, which would be jank at best and broken at worst. I recommend a full overhaul of the system entirely. First, I want to go over some small changes that could be made right now to make the system suck less. Remove the exponential scaling of anvil combinations, at least from combinations where only one of the items is enchanted. The exponential scaling and the price cap are intended to make it difficult to get maxed items, but right now it just isn't fun to interact with. Work on exclusive enchantments. Smite is useful for the Wither fight and pretty much nothing else, and Bane of Arthropods is a joke. Perhaps these two can instead have an enchantment that increases attack speed that's exclusive from sharpness. Maybe you could make an enchantment that makes crits stronger that's exclusive from sharpness. My point is, having an actual choice to make instead of one enchantment being clearly better than the others would be quite beneficial. Make mending a very rare enchantment from the enchanted table, or otherwise make it significantly more common from fishing, like half of enchanted books from fishing. Villagers are currently the only consistent source of mending, and that sucks because villagers aren't fun to deal with. Make the player drop all levels on death. There might need to be larger XP orb variants to added to accommodate this. Buff diamond and netherite armor durability and remove the protection's durability usage reduction. These changes are something that could realistically be done within a single drop under the new update pattern, which by the way I'm a huge fan of. If you've read my The State of Minecraft blog post, you'll have seen that this is something I wanted for a while. My enchantment rework idea. Here, welcome to the fun part of the post. Here I will detail a full overhaul idea me and my boyfriend, that's me by the way, came up with a while ago. I would mod this into the game, but I tried Minecraft modding once, and I never want to do it again. It took me 5 hours to add a single generic block. We decided to do away with most systems entirely, including experience as a whole. We're pretty much only keeping around the physical block you place, because those are cool. Tossing out everything you know about the current enchantment system. Experience. Experience is no longer a mechanic. There is no XP bar as part of the hotbar, and as a consequence, mending is gone, but I'll get into that later. Enchantment levels. Enchantment levels are no longer a mechanic. All enchantments are now only level 1. Most, but not all, enchantments borrowed from vanilla are equivalent in power to their vanilla max level. The Enchanting Table. The Enchanting Table is a crafting station used to enchant items. A mock-up graphic of the interface is shown below, which I'm probably going to use as footage for the entire video. The Enchanting Table has a button you can click to apply the enchantment, a slot for the item to enchant, 2 material slots, which will be explained later, and 3 sacrifice slots, which will also be explained later. Also, visible is a percentage curse chance, which will also be explained later. The purple item slot is very straightforward. You put in any enchantable item, even if it's already enchanted. Pressing the enchant button will apply exactly 1 new enchantment to it. Next, the sacrifice slots. The 3 slots at the bottom are sacrifice slots. Putting in monster drops, lapis lazuli, or bottles of enchanting, which can no longer be thrown, into these slots lowers the curse chance, with diminishing returns. Curse chance refers to the chance that any new enchantment applied is instead replaced with a curse. Using sacrifice materials alone cannot get the curse chance to 0, but it can get it extremely low, such as 1%. The material slots allow you to place specific items to be consumed upon enchanting in order to guarantee a particular enchantment. While no items are in these slots, you get a random enchantment with no enchantment preview. While the correct items for an enchantment are in the material slots, you can hover over the enchanting button to preview the enchantment. Different enchantments are sacrificed by different sacrifice materials by different amounts, meaning some enchantments require more sacrifice materials to get a low curse chance on. The items are consumed regardless of whether you get an enchantment or a curse. When you are not using a material to guarantee an enchantment, the value of your sacrifice material would probably be some medium value, maybe a bit higher than average. After having an item with an enchantment in your inventory, that enchantment's material components are unlocked in the recipe book. Curse chance starts at 100%, but can be lowered by various means. In addition to sacrifice materials, bookshelves placed around the enchantment table in the same pattern as vanilla reduce the base curse chance by 1% each, up to 15 bookshelves. Golden items get a base 50% curse chance reduction. It's important to note that curse chance is not increased for already enchanted items. Rather, as you add more enchantments to the item, you have to roll the dice more times, which means a greater chance of curse cumulatively. Therefore, it's more important to get low curse chances, and therefore spend more sacrifice material, while enchanting already highly enchanted item, lest you ruin it with a curse. Enchanted books can be used in the material slot to apply all their enchantments to an item. They add a flat 20% to the curse chance after all of the reductions are calculated, making it the only way to guarantee a 0% curse chance. Enchanted item of the same type as the item being enchanted cannot be used for this, unlike anvils in vanilla. The Grindstone. The Grindstone can be used to repair and disenchant items just like vanilla. Putting an item in the Grindstone removes all enchantments and curses. The Anvil. The Anvil can be used to repair and rename items. It keeps the enchantments on the item, but can no longer be used to combine enchantments. There is an additional cost to repairing or renaming beyond the there is no additional cost to repairing or renaming beyond the necessary repair materials. Other changes. Dem and netherite armor have their durability doubled to compensate for the fact that the protection enchantment is removed by this rework. Also, due to the large amount of enchantments a single item could have under this rework, the tooltip needs to organize them into columns. I recommend having it start a new column after 5 or 6 enchantments. Next up is a full list of enchantments me and my boyfriend came up with together. These could easily be switched out to whatever Mojang's design team sees fit. The only thing I'm undecided on is the material recipe of some of these, which could be worked out later by Mojang should they choose to add this rework. Curses are marked in red. General enchantments. The general enchantments can be applied to any enchantable item. Unbreaking. It's a very easy enchantment to apply. It gives an item a 50% chance not to consume durability. This is equivalent to Unbreaking 1 in vanilla. Obsidian Core. Equally as easy to apply as Unbreaking. Makes it so that instead of being destroyed when broken, an item enters a damaged state similar to an elytra. They can be repaired later at an anvil. Radiance, not the Minecraft Dungeons enchantment. Rather, it's rather difficult to apply. Makes the item have a glowing outline visible through blocks when dropped. This is similar to the glowing buff effect. Longevity, a little easier to apply than Radiance. Makes the item last 15 minutes when dropped instead of 5 before despawning. Curse of Fragility gives an item a 50% chance to consume double durability. This plus Unbreaking is still better than nothing at all because of how math works. Curse of Vanishing makes an item disappear instead of being dropped on death. Curse of Expiration. The item cannot be repaired in an anvil. You'll need to remove enchantments at a grindstone first to get rid of this curse. Armor enchantments. These enchantments can be applied to player armor. Blast Protection. This is part of the protection cycle, and it's exclusive from other protection enchantments. It grants plus 23% damage resistance to explosions per armor piece, resulting in near immunity to explosions on all 4 armor pieces, hopefully allowing the player to do cool stuff like Blast Jump. It does not grant knockback resistance like in vanilla. Magic Protection, which is also from the protection cycle and exclusive from other protection enchantments. It grants a 23% damage resistance to poison, wither, instant harming, dragon breath, and similar sources per armor piece, making the player nearly immune to these effects when on all 4. Knockback Protection. It's exclusive from the other protection enchantments. Grants 15% knockback resistance per armor piece, up to 60% on all four. Burden protection. It's exclusive from other protection enchantments. It grants 25% resistance to slowdown, such as slowness, cobwebs, water, and more, making the player fully immune to these at max level. Does not affect player caused slowdowns such as crouching, charging a bow, or shielding. Plating. This is exclusive from warding. It reduces incoming damage by a flat of 0.5 per armor piece, calculated before armor, for up to 2 points of damage reduction. One full heart when on all 4 armor pieces. Warding is exclusive from plating. It increases armor toughness by 1 per armor piece. Armor toughness makes the armor's protection more effective against high damage hits. Fire absorption. This grants a 50% resistance to the burning effect per armor piece. At percentages over 100%, the burning effect heals you, but fire and lava can still hurt. It can be applied to pet armor, which will be elaborated on armor. To clarify, the burning effect heals you means the afterburn damage you take from being on fire will heal you, but the contact damage that is dealt by fire sources will still hurt. Respiration can only be put on helmets. It doubles the wearer's breath time underwater. Thorns can only be put on chest plates. It deals 20% of the damage taken back to the attacker. It does not do knockback, and it does not cost durability to activate the effect, like in vanilla. Feather falling can only be put on boots. It gives a 50% damage resistance to fall damage and ender pearl damage. It also makes you take 2 more blocks of falling before you take fall damage, allowing you to fall 5 blocks without taking damage instead of 3. So you don't keep taking damage when you're walking down that hillside with feather falling. Frostwalker is exclusive from Soul Speed and can only be put on boots. Water around you while walking or running transforms into temporary ice. Ice does not form if you've been falling further than 1 block, meaning you can properly sprint jump across or drop down from a ledge. Reaching your swimming peak in the water causes the water to freeze under you, allowing you to get back on the surface of the water easily. Holding crouch causes the ice to quickly melt, allowing you to enter water whenever you need. This works while mounted, allowing for some ice boat or horse shenanigans. Soul Speed. It's exclusive from Frostwalker. It can only be put on boots. It doubles your walk and run speed on Soul Soil and Soul Sand and does not consume durability like vanilla. Swift Sneak. It's exclusive from Shark Skin and can only be put on leggings. It makes you move twice as fast while crouched. Shark Skin is exclusive from Swift Sneak and can only be put on leggings. It doubles your speed while you're swimming. Sprint swimming, that is. You know, the one where you enter like crawl mode. Curse of Binding can only be put on an item with durability. The armor piece cannot be unequipped. It has no effect on armor on if the armor is broken, but still exists due to the Obsidian Core enchantment. Curse of Stiffness, 5% reduced movement speed per armor piece. On all 4 armor pieces, this is equivalent to slowness 1. Curse of Levity, 10% increased knockback taken per armor piece. A part of the design of these curses is they can have niche uses. Levity could be useful if you want a build where you can get knocked by other players over a longer distance. Animal armor enchantments. These enchantments can be applied to horse or wolf armor. Buoyancy can only be put on horse armor and allows the horse to swim while you're still riding on top of it. Bullet time can only be put on horse armor. It significantly slows the decay rate of the jump bar after hitting max, making it easier to get max jumps on your horse. Cuddling can only be put on wolf armor. Makes wolves start pathfinding to you from a shorter distance than normal, teleport to you from a shorter distance than normal, and allows them to teleport to the surface of water to get to you. This one's intended for those low render distance servers where wolves can get stuck in unloaded chunks, and for people who want to manage their wolves more easily. Fire Absorption. This is the same as the Fire Absorption enchantment from the player armor section. However, on animal armor, it makes the animal fully immune to fire and lava. Combined with Buoyancy, it allows you to ride your horse while it swims in lava. This is not advised because it'll hurt you if you accidentally dip your toes. Plus, it's slow. Combined with Cuddling, it allows wolves to teleport into the lava to get to you. Don't worry, they'll be fine. Cursive Itchiness causes the wearer to do the Wander pathfinding action twice as open. I hope you made a secure pen. Tool enchantments. These enchantments can be applied to tools. Efficiency. It's exclusive from strength, and it's equivalent to efficiency 5 in vanilla. Strength. It's exclusive from efficiency and can only be put on pickaxes. It puts a soft cap on how long blocks take to break, making it much faster to break things like obsidian. Silk Touch. This is exclusive from Fortune. It forces the broken block to drop itself. Fortune. It's exclusive from Silk Touch. It makes a block have a 50% chance to drop double items if it doesn't drop it itself. This is effectively somewhere between Fortune 1 and Fortune 2 in vanilla. I think Fortune 3 is a bit overpowered in vanilla. You can live without those extra 40% diamonds, especially with how common diamonds are post 1.18. Swapping. Upon breaking block, it is immediately replaced with a block in your offhand if there is a block in your offhand. This might not be possible to implement currently due to the horrific user interface design of Pocket Edition, or Bedrock Edition, that is. But it would be neat on Java at least. Or, you could add a single button to the mobile UI to enable offhand features in Bedrock that actually achieve some semblance of parity. Whatever works. Anyways, this is a side tangent because this is a big complaint I've talked about, but I think Bedrock Edition should really take inspiration from how mobile Terraria handles UI. Anyways, gusting. Nearby hostile mobs are pushed away a little when you mine a block. They do not take damage from this. This one's probably associated with trial chambers. Padding. The tool does not trip skulk sensors when breaking a block. This would have to be a treasure enchantment from ancient cities for game balance reasons. Aqua Affinity. Tool is not slowed while submerged in water. Why was this on helmets in the first place? It just makes more sense for tools. Curse of Bluntness. Blocks have a 2% chance to drop nothing when mined. Curse of Heaviness. Your tool has a 5% slower mining speed. Curse of Obsession. Disables the right-click functions of the tool, such as stripping logs, making paths, or tilling soil. This is more of a quality of life, because I'm sick of accidentally stripping logs into their stripped variant by when wielding an axe and having to replace them. Miscellaneous utility enchantments. These enchantments can be applied to flint and steel, brushes, and shears. Ignition can only be put on flint and steel. Allows flint and steel to right-click any mob to set it on fire, like it does when you light creepers. Bristles can only be put on brushes and doubles their brushing speed. Gentle can only be put on brushes, gives a 35% chance for suspicious sand or suspicious gravel to remain suspicious after collecting the item side, regenerating its loot table afterwards. Bountiful can only be put on shears, gives a 50% chance for shearing to drop double items. Fishing rod enchantments. These enchantments can be applied to fishing rods. Lure reduces time to get a bite by 15 seconds, equivalent to Lure 3 in vanilla. Luck of the Sea boosts your chance of catching treasure, equivalent to Luck of the Sea 3 in vanilla. Reeling triples the pull force when reeling in a hooked entity. Fishing rod PvPers are going to have a field day with this one. Curse of Pollution increases the chance of catching trash. I haven't worked out the numbers on this one. Curse of Rot gives a small chance, probably 5% or 10%, haven't worked out the numbers for this one, to fish up a drown, inspired by Terraria Blood Moons. Melee weapon enchantments. These enchantments can be applied to swords, axes, tridents, and maces. Smite, part of the Smite cycle, exclusive from other specialized plus damage enchantments. Makes the weapon do 1% damage. Makes the weapon do +1 damage to undead creatures. Butchering, part of the Smite cycle and exclusive from other damage enchantments, makes the weapon do +1 damage to passive creatures. Chilling, part of the Smite cycle, exclusive from other damage enchantments, makes the weapon do +1 damage to nether native creatures. Laceration, also part of the Smite cycle, yada yada, makes the weapon do +1 damage to flying creatures. Fodder Slayer, part of the Smite cycle, and of course exclusive from other damage enchantments, makes the weapon do +1 damage to creatures spawned via unnatural means. This means from mob spawners, split slimes, silverfish endermites, zombie reinforcements, trial chamber potion effects, etc. Basically anything that didn't spawn in naturally. Lightweight, exclusive from Sweeping Edge, can only be put on swords. Increases the attack speed by 30%. Sweeping Edge, exclusive from Lightweight, can only be put on swords. It causes enemies to be caught in the sword sweep to take full damage and knockback. It's stronger than Vanilla Sweeping Edge 3. Looting can only be put on swords. Mobs have a 50% chance to drop double loot. Probably doesn't apply to the Nether Star. Fire aspect can only be put on swords. Swords set to hit the target on fire. Sharpness can only be put on axes. It adds +3 damage to your axe. Cleaving can only be put on axes. It doubles shield knockdown time and gives you +2 damage. Knockback can only be put on axes. Doubles natural knockback dealt. I don't know quite how knockback works but apparently the vanilla edition the vanilla knockback enchantment applies an additional knockback effect in addition to the regular one, which I think is stupid. Density, exclusive from Breach, can only be put on maces. +2 damage per tile fallen, equivalent to density 5. Breach, exclusive from Density, can only be put on maces. Ignores 60% of the target's armor. Windburst can only be put on maces. Launches the user 12 tiles into the air when landing a falling mace hit. This is between Windburst 1 and Windburst 2 in vanilla. Impaling can only be put on tridents. +5 damage to aquatic creatures, equivalent to Impaling 5 in vanilla. Riptide, exclusive from Loyalty, Channeling, and Crushing. Instead of throwing your trident, launch yourself forwards while wet, equivalent to Riptide 3 in vanilla. Loyalty, exclusive from Riptide. The trident returns to you when thrown, equivalent to Loyalty 3 in vanilla. Channeling, exclusive from Riptide and Crushing. The trident strikes lightning where it hits during rain or thunder. I always thought it was this only working during thunder was a bit too niche, so I'm expanding it to rain as well. Crushing, exclusive from Riptide and Channeling. On a fully charged throw, the trident breaks the block it hits if the block's hardness is less than 2, aka if it's weaker than regular stone. If the block only drops if it's able to be harvested without tools. For example, netherrack would not drop since it requires a pickaxe. This could be used to make fun mechanisms or like a spleef-like minigame. Curse of Imbalance, 5% reduced attack speed. Curse of Weakness, 20% reduced knockback. Curse of Double Edge, when you hit an enemy with a melee attack, there's a 10% chance to deal 20% of your attack's damage to yourself. It's effectively 2% of your damage per second. Curse of Seabound can only be put on tridents. The trident is thrown with 30% reduced velocity and range. Curse of Momentum can only be put on maces. The mace only reduces fall damage by 70% instead of negating it entirely when hitting an enemy. Ranged weapon enchantments. These enchantments can be applied to bows and crossbows. Power, exclusive from Injection, can only be put on bows. Doubles arrow damage and velocity, but not range. Make the arrows fall faster too. Injection, exclusive from Power, can only be put on bows. The effect strength of a potion it triples the effect strength of potion arrows fired. Tipped arrows, that is. For example, harming 2 will become harming 6. So it doesn't increase their duration, it just makes the effect more potent. This could probably do some pretty funny things with stuff like jump boost arrows. Punch, exclusive from Flame, can only be put on bows. Double zero knockback. Flame, exclusive from Punch, can only be put on bows. Sets arrows on fire. Infinity can only be put on bows. Regular arrows are not consumed when firing. Piercing, part of the crossbow cycle, exclusive from multi-shot and blasting, can only be put on crossbows. Arrows can pierce up to 5 enemies, equivalent to piercing 5 in vanilla. Multi-shot, part of the crossbow cycle, and exclusive from piercing and blasting, can only be put on crossbows. Fires 3 arrows at once for the cost of only 1 arrow. Blasting, part of the crossbow cycle and exclusive from piercing and multi-shot, can only be put on crossbows. Fireworks have doubled explosion damage and radius. Quick Charge, crossbows charge 150% faster, equivalent to Quick Charge 3 in vanilla. Curse of Unsteadiness, increases your bows or crossbows spread by 2 degrees. Curse of Misfiring, has a 10% chance to fire projectiles with halved flight speed, damage, and range. Shield enchantments. These enchantments can be applied to shields. Coverage. It's exclusive from Resilience and Blitz. Increases a shield's coverage angle by 10 degrees, 5 degrees to each side. Resilience, exclusive from Coverage and Blitz. Halves the shield downtime after being hit with an axe. Blitz, part of the shield cycle, and exclusive from Coverage and Resilience. Move at nearly full speed while shielding. Reflection, exclusive from Bouncing. Projectiles that hit the shield are reflected at full force in the direction they came. Bouncing is exclusive from Reflection. Enemies take extra knockback when they melee hit your shield. Curse of Bulk, 40% reduced movement speed while shielding. Curse of Shrinking, 10% decreased or 10% degrees reduced shield coverage angle, which is 5 degrees to each side. Elytra enchantments. These enchantments can be applied to Elytra. Slipstream, exclusive from Exoskeleton, reduces air resistance, resulting in 20% increased maximum speed. Exoskeleton, exclusive from Slipstream, grants the wearer 6 armor points, which is equivalent to an iron chestplate. Launching. After flying with a firework, the firework is fired out in front of you before exploding. Ugh. Wouldn't it be cool to carpet bomb enemies with an elytra? Also, it makes it not actively detrimental to use exploding fireworks. Curse of Drag increases air resistance, reducing maximum speed by 20%. Curse of Collision, the wearer takes 50% increased damage from crashing with the elytra. Reflection analysis, benefits and drawbacks. Phew, that was a long one. Make sure to drink some water, which I really should do. Up next, I'll be talking about the benefits and drawbacks of the system. The system has a lot of benefits to the game, but would cause a couple of problems as well. I think overall it is vastly superior to the current horrible grindfest that is vanilla enchanting. Even if you keep the regular enchantments, these enchanting table mechanics are far more engaging than the vanilla ones. Let's take a look. The enchanting process benefits. If you've read through this whole document so far, and if you're like me, you've probably think this sounds way more fun than vanilla enchantment. You could always guarantee the enchantment you want, and you can either play it safe and put a lot of materials into your enchanting table, or play it risky and try to get a cheap enchantment on your item and hope it doesn't get a curse. If you've crafted max gear and don't want to risk even a 1% curse chance, you can use enchanted books as a sort of buffer to guarantee that you get no curses on your maxed out gear. It's literally free to put throwaway enchantments on throwaway golden tools as well, and you can still make it the cool iconic bookshelf setup to get a bonus. That mob farm you built in 1.17 is still useful, since the monster drops can now be used to help enchant. Gathering materials to enchant means you'll probably be mining a lot more lapis lazuli, and well, the game is called Minecraft, so that's probably fun. Besides, you'll probably have like 4 stacks of lapis sitting around doing nothing anyways. Repairing tools. Benefits. With vanilla, mending is super mandatory because max tools are extremely expensive to create, and anvil repairs are effectively limited in supply because of the exponentially scaling costs. For my rework system, repairing a netherite tool still requires a netherite ingot, so you'll still have to put in some work, but it doesn't also cause massive enchantment problems. Mending is a band-aid fix to a broken repair system. My rework actually fixes the system at its foundation, so that mending isn't even necessary. Plus, you no longer need to spend ages deliberating over the final name of your item, since renaming has no penalty. Player choice. Benefits. This new system would introduce a large number of exclusive enchantments, meaning there would no longer just be a best choice for max enchanting, but rather players will genuinely be able to build their items towards their preferred playstyle. Heck, even the protection cycle was split into plating and warding, so that players will be able to take the best of one of take the best one for the situation, or take a mix of both for reduced effect on each. I know I would personally choose plating, but warding is probably better for PvP and high skill players trying to fight the warden or something. The removal of the generalist option from the specialist protection cycle means that downside of specializing means removes the downside of specializing and allows the players to actually think about what they would find most important. Plus, increased weapon and armor variety would introduce an interesting set of counterplay strategies to PvP, where perhaps a player might bring magic protection armor, knowing their opponent might be running an injection bow with harming arrows, making it useful to bring a backup strategy such as cobwebs, since the other player would know that if the first player has magic protection, they either don't have burden protection or their magic protection isn't on all 4 armor pieces. There's also a wider variety of enchantments to get on each item. Max pickaxe can have 10, some of which the player might not want to go for due to potential downsides or because it's just not worth the effort for the longevity enchantment or something. So items will vary based on player preference. Additionally, a player might decide to keep a curse that isn't too impactful, such as Curse of Collision on Elytra, which has no effect if you're good enough not to crash, or might intentionally get a curse, such as Curse of Rot, which both have niche upsides. Rewards and one-trick ponies benefits. The material guarantee system offers a great opportunity to add some new items to the game as enchanting materials to put in chests as loot. I know Mojang is currently struggling for things to put in chests and new structures, and this would be a great way to fill that out. Additionally, It can help add another purpose to items that are currently only used for one thing, such as turtle and armadillo scutes, which could be added to the enchantment recipes for various things. Game balance benefits. Many enchantments in vanilla are currently rather overpowered, especially protection, which combined with diamond or netherite armor makes you take only 7.2% as much damage as you would without armor. The new enchantment set presented provides a wide array of alternative enchantments, as mentioned in the previous section, which also comes with balance benefits. Making enchantments be exclusive from each other reduces the effective power of maxed out item, reducing some of the extreme late game power creep you see, with players becoming nigh invincible with their 92.3 damage reduction, their Totem of Undying just to rub it in. Instead, each possible build has a counter, meaning that even in the endgame, you'll still have to actually be careful and can't just face tank 20 zombies forever. Meanwhile, it still keeps enchantments powerful enough to feel impactful and give players a worthwhile advantage, such as being able to face tank several creepers with blast protection, even if you might die to an arrow shot by a skeleton from the same group of monsters. Having only one level enchantment makes it easier to balance something like Windburst, which I know Mojang had some trouble with during development. It also reduces that weird balancing issue where stuff like Sharpness 3 and Fortune 1 are entirely non-viable, because it's impossible to combine them without overly scaling the anvil combination cost. The introduction of material costs and sacrifice values for enchantments makes each enchantment much easier to balance. Something like Unbreaking could cost, say, one iron ingot to guarantee, and maybe would only require 8 lapis or 32 rotten flesh to get a 10% curse chance for. Meanwhile, Respiration could require a Prismarine chart, encouraging players to explore and find the materials to guarantee it, and maybe it would take 16 or 20 lapis to get a 10% curse chance for it, so you have to put in a little more effort to apply it. Game balance, drawbacks. Currently, vanilla Minecraft enchantments have initial use. A level 1 throwaway enchantment. These enchantments are something you could just toss on whatever tools you have in the early game for a slight advantage. My pro system messes with this by removing enchantment levels, meaning that every enchantment has to be balanced around being max level at all times. I don't think this would be game breaking, but it's something to keep in mind. It basically makes throwaway enchantments stronger. Old save portability. Drawbacks. Probably the single largest drawback. Porting old saves to this new set of enchantments would be a nightmare. This on its own might make the enchantment set I came up with non-viable to add, but the pros enchanting system's base mechanics could still be adapted without too much fuss. Perhaps my enchantment system could be added by just flattening every enchantment to level 1, deleting enchantments that no longer exist, and just letting illegal enchantment combinations, such as sharpness on swords or punch and flame bows, exist. Either way, it would be really weird. Player accessibility. Drawbacks. The biggest problem with player accessibility is new players trying to figure out how to guarantee enchantments. Minecraft has a lot of problems with this already, and new systems shouldn't be introducing more and further alienating players who haven't opened the game in 3 years. One way to fix this would be including outlines for possible items to put in the other slot when you put an item in the one slot, making it easier to figure things out through brute force. Another issue I have concerns about is the player figuring out what each of the slots do, but I doubt that this is any worse than, say, a furnace. So hopefully it will be fine without too much user interface changes. Along these accessibility lines, there's a concern I have with allowing a pickaxe to have 16 different enchantments at once. While I have tried making a mock-up of what this would look like, and it seems fine so long as you add a new column thing I suggested, it is still something to be wary of. Sound design. Drawbacks. The little tinkling sound of experience orbs when I mine a diamond ore feels amazing. It really helps make the diamond ore feel that much more valuable. As such, removing experience entirely makes breaking a diamond ore just sound like regular stone, which makes it less satisfying. This realistically should be solved by actually improving the sound design of various ores. While we're at it, can we apply the copper block sounds to golden iron? This is a suggestion I made. Minecraft really needs to look through its old sound design, because there are some real bad ones. Progression. Drawbacks. Really grasping at straws for downsides, but perhaps some players find the joy in the arduous process of leveling up their gear, and this rework removes the number go up of upgrading from sharpness 4 to sharpness 5. I'm not sure this is a concern at all, but I want to make sure to present a full case here. Conclusion. Thank you for reading all this. If you're coming here from my website, go give my Minecraft feedbacks forum post an upvote at I will link the feedback forum post in the YouTube description as well as this page if you'd like to see these features in game. If you're a Mojang employee, I'm honored to have you here.
I would greatly appreciate at least some changes to the enchantment and XP system as a whole. Its current system is jank and unforgiving, and updates like the anvil cap and villager rebalance seem to be leaning towards making it even more annoying and difficult without actually addressing the underlying issues. If you do use this idea, I highly doubt you'll use the whole thing. So feel free to take parts of it, parts you like, and leave the parts you don't. If you have any questions, feedback, or just want to say hi, you can contact me on my nearest NeoCities profile at NeoCities or Spirit site. It'll be linked. Have a wonderful day, night, or extraterrestrial unit of time, and may there be no monsters near your bed.